free agency. Started working on that already.
Yeah, there is no NFL offseason anymore, is there? I mean, come on. 4 teams left standing in the 2023 season. That number is going to be whittled down to 2 on Sunday. Both San Francisco and Kansas City preseason favorites to go to the Super Bowl, but Baltimore and Detroit were also among the top 10 favorites as we get the countdown to the game on CBS going in earnest to getting down to single digits here in another week and a bit. Both those teams in different positions as we head towards Championship Sunday. Ravens sitting as slight favorites at home against Kansas City. That suits Patrick Mahomes just fine. He's shown that betting against him in the playoffs, great way to lose money. That game, the first one to go, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS. NFC game, Detroit Lions appearing in their first conference title game since '91, trying to win their first road playoff game since 1957. They are 7-point dogs to the 49ers in Santa Clara. All right, so let's look at some records here as we get these guys ready to tee this one up. Boy, overall, it's pretty tight here.
Hey, you know what? Pete, though, 2 weeks in a row, has got his best bet right.
It's a miracle.
That's
it's
awesome.
a miracle.
You're on a streak.
It's a miracle.
It's
3 weeks in a row, isn't it? Or
I think it's 2. You're trying to make
It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
6, 13, and 1 in terms of those bets.
But he's on a streak now. He's on a hot streak.
He's on a hot streak. All right, so let's make some picks. Let's start with the AFC game. Chiefs sitting 3.5-point underdogs to Baltimore. The total at 44.5. Brady, what are you thinking?
Learned my lesson last week. Patrick Mahomes getting points. It's a rarity, all right? Once in a blue moon, you see something like this. 2 weeks in a row. So I will gladly be on the other side of this one. I'm going to take the points and Kansas City. These are 2 of the best defenses, though. I know we're going to talk about the quarterbacks. These are 2 of the best defenses in the AFC, though. 1 and 2 in regards to, defense, pressures, that sort of thing. And I think I trust Patrick Mahomes more in this spot, taking care of the football. What we saw last week, too, from them offensively, to be able to keep it within this number, if not flat out outright win. We've obviously, everyone questioned about whether or not he could do it on the road just a week ago. Well, he did it on the road there. We'll see if he can do it in Baltimore. It's an incredibly tough place to play. Lamar Jackson feels like he's on a different level with playing within this offense. Still need to see it before I can fully buy into it, so I'll take the 3.5 points.
I'm with you. I think they win the game. I think the Chiefs win this game. You can't go against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. I just won't do it. I did it last week like an idiot, like you did. We were wrong. Patrick Mahomes in the postseason is unreal, and I think that shows up. The Ravens defense is fantastic, and they do a lot of different things with that defense, and they confused C.J. Stroud a little bit last week. It's hard to confuse Patrick Mahomes. It really is. I think he's one of those guys that's seen everything, and he's going to be able to stand in there and make plays. And you mentioned the defense of the Chiefs. The defense of the Chiefs got pushed around a little bit in the run game a little last week. They'll have to be better this week, but I think they will be. I'm with you. I'm on the Chiefs as well.
I do think it's going to be interesting to see the matchup between Travis Kelce and Kyle Hamilton, though. Kyle Hamilton was built. He was made by God to be able to cover a guy like Travis Kelce with the way he can move, with his length, his size, his speed. So, there's not many times teams want to isolate a player with Travis Kelce one-on-one. I don't think the Baltimore Ravens or Mike McDonald, their defensive coordinator, will have any issue whatsoever leaving him isolated, because that's why they drafted him in the first place. So it's going to be fascinating.
And you know what? If you're Travis Kelce, okay, I want that one-on-one.
Yeah, he
has so many doubles in his whole career. It'd be nice to have a one-on-one.
So neither of you believing in that Josh Allen curse.
By the way, we both are believing the over. Should be a higher score.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. Because I think the Ravens will score too.
Yeah.
Do you think this line is accurate? Like, do you think it's? I mean, when I looked at the 2 games and the different lines, it almost seems like the way that the teams are playing, it should be reversed a little bit. I mean, Lamar Jackson's got 4 straight wins of 14 or more points, right? And then you have the Niners, who basically pulled by the skin of their teeth last week, pulled that one out against the Packers.
This line has everything to me to do with the respect that the public has towards, or the gambling markets have towards Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, their postseason success. That's what it has to do with me. And still worrying about the storyline for Lamar Jackson in the postseason, and if they can get it done at home. So I think that's what's more built in here. I actually thought the number would be closer to 3 with the hook on it. It's one of the reasons why I'm swaying more towards Kansas City. I just think it's going to be a tough, tight game between these 2 teams, and that's why I'm on the side of KC.
If Lamar Jackson and the offense comes out and plays the way they did in the first half against the Texans, they're going to have problems. They'll have problems, because just to turn it up like they did, the Texans were kind of overwhelmed. I think they weren't ready for that. The Chiefs are ready for it. They've been there. They've done it. Most of those guys have been. A lot of those guys have been around.
But, and another thing that comes down to Lamar Jackson and his legs, his feet. Really, that's what separated them from Houston in the second half. Is when Lamar Jackson started to take off, everything else opens up within that offense. Steve Spagnuolo will have a game plan to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket and see if this new offense with Todd Monken will extend itself into the postseason, and they'll be able to go throw for throw with Patrick Mahomes. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs want this game to be. They want it to be a play from the pocket game for both their quarterbacks, and they're betting on Patrick Mahomes being the better of the two.
Does Baltimore have to play their best game of the season to beat the Chiefs?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think if you look at, look, this is the Kansas City Chiefs. They are the standard in the AFC. They have been the standard in the AFC. There's no doubt in my mind they got to play their best football for this one, and then you got to ratchet it up again, much like you did the last time, if it is indeed San Francisco, if it stays chalky, for the Super Bowl. And we've already seen that happen.
When you had to beat Michael Jordan, if you had to beat Michael Jordan, you had to be at your best. Well, here we have Michael Jordan in the NFL. That's what you have with Patrick Mahomes. You better be at your best. If you're not at your best, they will find ways to beat you. They've done it in the past. And so, yeah, I think the Ravens have to be at their best to win this game.
Ravens are seeking their third Super Bowl appearance in franchise history. Patrick Mahomes by himself is seeking his fourth appearance.
You played in the league. Think about that.
What most people don't understand is how hard it is just to get to the postseason.
Right, and get to the championship game.
Let alone the postseason success that he's had. Yeah. And again, gets his first, even last week, just the first time he'd been on the road. It's ridiculous to even put into to folks out there who haven't had the opportunity to play and realize how difficult it is. He's there once again, and if he gets another shot at getting to the Super Bowl, it's
coming for you, Tom. He's coming for you, buddy.
Yeah, maybe. I mentioned the Josh Allen curse just because we had a thing on the social media, CBS social media about it. No team to beat Josh Allen in the playoffs has ever won its next playoff game. So the Chiefs looking to break that.
So Josh puts a whammy on him? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just, that's what was out there.
I got one in here. I can put it on somebody if you want. You got, little Italian.
We don't want to see that.
No, little Italian.
Whatever you're about ready to pull out, keep that back.
All right. In the NFC title game, the Detroit Lions, we mentioned they're 7-point underdogs to San Francisco. The total there at 51. What are you thinking in this instance, Pete?
I think this is going to be a close game. I think when you look at this, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. And when you look at it, you talk about the number. And what did you think? The number was bloated?
I think based on the way the 49ers played last week, the way that they have kind of played, I think it's a little bit high. I think the game's going to be closer than the 7 points.
It looks bloated, but I don't think I think the spread should be smaller. It is bloated.
Yeah, you think it's bloated?
Yeah, I do. I like the Lions.
I think you are? I think you're a fish. I think you're on the hook right now.
You think they're reeling me in?
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and start reeling you in.
So I got a chance.
I'm just telling you right now, that number does look a little bit bloated, which makes me a little suspect.
Did I say who I was taking?
You've basically alluded to who you're taking.
Yeah.
Yes, Pete. Go ahead and tell everyone who you're taking.
I'm taking the Lions.
Okay, shocking.
But I really think this is going to be a high-scoring game because I don't think either defense is playing that well. The Lions, we know, have had problems all year. I think the 49ers got blocked last week. And what happens, Brady, when you block them?
You can beat them, but they didn't. So this is where Pete, at his age, has now learned from his mistakes, Jeremy. All right. Pete lets a loss last week beat him again this week, and he really thought, and he made this grand proclamation that the Green Bay Packers were going to win outright. He didn't need the points. He didn't want to bet it, but you did say that to us, and you said it a number of times.
I did say take the points, too.
You did, but then you also said, hey, but they don't need them because they're going to win outright. Those are your words.
Right. If the kicker made a field goal, maybe they would have beat.
You're allowing last week's loss in your mind, because how you thought the game should have went, to play a factor into this one. I think the weather played a factor. I don't think that's going to be a factor. The weather should be fantastic for this game. I think this 49ers team is going to come out, and they're going to come out as good as we've seen them the entire season so far. And there's, some concern about Deebo Samuel and his health and how he's feeling. Is it structural? Is it pain management? Whatever the case may be. I think they'll play their best football. I think those concerns we had about the Detroit Lions defense, some of those big plays they're giving up, I think they come to fruition here. And I think this is where the San Francisco 49ers cover that bloated number with one of their better performances as they head towards the Super Bowl.
When was the last time, think about this for a second, when was the last time you said one of their great performances? When was the last time a performance by the 49ers you can remember from the year where they were just, you went, wow, they're legitimate? I mean, they went to Jacksonville and destroyed Jacksonville, beat the daylights out of the Cowboys, but when they played a big game against the Ravens at home, they were the ones that got beat up.
Sure, that was the last week I think they got beat up.
And they didn't look great last week against the Packers.
A large portion of the season, they dominated a lot of their opponents.
Yeah, look, I don't think they looked like the same team for some reason, particularly on the defense.
Here's the other thing. I differ in the sense that it's a higher scoring game. I think this one hits under the number. I think you can shake your head all you want, and I know you're concerned about how the defense has been playing, but the reality is last week's game also hit the under. And I think their defenses will step up for this one. This will be a much greater challenge.
This will be a much greater challenge for the Packers to start the game.
And their first road test of this postseason offensively to put all that stuff together versus the San Francisco 49ers.
If the game's on the line, who do you want the ball in the hands of, Brock Purdy or Jared Goff?
Probably Kyle Shanahan.
Purdy's been clutch. Everyone's going to make a big deal about how he looked last week in the rain and all that stuff. When he needed to go down and make plays, he made plays. And even throughout the course of the game, he made some throws where you go, okay, there it is. So I have no concerns about it. Honestly, I think the worst thing he did last week was, look, you make a decision before you leave that locker room whether or not you're going to put a glove on your throwing hand, all right? And unless you practice enough with one on, don't put it on. Because once you go out there and start throwing with the glove on, it feels so awkward, so unorthodox after that. It's going to take you a while to get back to feeling normal again, just gripping with your hand. I know it sounds funky for people out there to listen to. I swear to you, we used to do this all the time in cold weather places because your hands would be cold. All right, let's put a glove on. Let's take it off, see how it feels. The ball would feel so slick once you get used to throwing a few times with that glove on. So that, to me, I think was a decision that moving forward, just go without the glove, get a towel, a little chamois in your little muff there, you'll be fine moving forward.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Brock Purdy. I'm also not worried about Jared Goff. I think he's going to play well. You know, there's an old narrative about Jared Goff on the road. I think he will play well in this game. I think both quarterbacks will play well.
And Jared Goff against San Francisco hasn't been good either. So it's going to be very interesting. Detroit's last playoff road win, as mentioned, at San Francisco, 1957. Pete, you were there, right?
I was. That was my first year covering the league.
It was the last time that Detroit won an NFL championship. It was the NFL championship, of course, never won a Super Bowl. Chiefs at Ravens, so that's our game on CBS Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and of course streaming on Paramount Plus. And don't forget, if you're a fan of Halo, Pete, I know you're a fan of Halo, the world premiere of the new trailer coming up during halftime of the AFC Championship game. All right, well, we have some more discussions to come and some more picks to make. Pete and Brady checking out some prop plays. Is Brandon Ayuk a good bet? What about CMC and Jared Goff? We'll dig into those when HQ returns.